Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
All right,
Much better.
If our guests are in the audience, please request to join. Let's see if I can bring you guys in here myself, but I have to go through this whole list of people who are...
They can't hear anything.
Oh no. Are you serious?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Stiff says you're good.
Well, while we wait for our guests to join us, do you have any mail days this week?
I have 3 grails in the pipe. But none of them are here.
Oh, right. They're on their way.
I have a mail day.
Oh, Christina has a mail day. All right, come show your mail day, Christina.
I have a mail day. I have a Maxi Cleva Immaculate out of 10. Yeah, 10.
Nice.
What year is it?
It is 2020.
Nice.
So, 5th year.
What does he sign there? What is that stuff on the right? Does he signing? He's got this like 3 letters.
Yeah, he does like Cleva, and then he does number 42. And
Oh, cool.
It's a little weird. People always think that like it's something out, like it's not just numbers. But shout out to Kyle of Wax Museum, who was at the Tampa card show and saw this super early in the morning and messaged me about it, and then picked it up for me and sent it over to me in Dallas.
What a guy.
Such an awesome friend. And
check out his YouTube. He's got some GoPro style videos from that show that are hilarious and very good. Okay, all right. I saw one of our guests enter the chat. I'm just going to invite him. And if he declines, we got problems. All right, I sent the invite. There he is. Oh,
Yo.
David, what's up, man? Where's Ezra? What account is Ezra on so I can send an invitation?
Oh my God, Ezra Levine.
Okay, all right.
That makes sense.
Great one. Well, this is like really, really like scary. Hi, Josh.
Hey, what's
Don't
up,
be
man?
scared, David. Okay, hold on. Don't be scared of my giant head up top here.
I'm used to your giant head.
Okay. All right, I sent an invite to Ezra.
I tried so hard to find the fucking Kleber to 5 just so I could present it as like my mail day. No. Christina, you're so fucked on that card. It's going to take forever.
Yeah. That'd be amazing if somebody showed up with that card at the Mint Collective, wouldn't it?
that
I
would
would
be
kill
amazing.
for that. How about this? I'm personally putting, if you don't know, Chris happens to have like the touch at the craps table. I will put $1,000 hard way down for anyone that gets the Kleber to 5 for Christina at the Mint Collective. He hits hard ways. He hits Scottie Pippen. He hits 44s. He hit Michael Jordan's retirement number. The table broke up a little bit early. Not saying why, but like at the end of the day, it was fucking amazing table. We went. Josh rolled insane.
Yep.
Stiff rolled insane. Who else was at that table?
David Owens. David Owens was teaching us he was teaching me on the fly how to play.
Dave Owens had the snap
Yep.
after his roll.
Yep.
Ooh.
He had all the little sayings too, making people money along the way and all that stuff.
It was Mikey.
Yeah.
He's all about good vibes. He kept saying good vibes.
Good vibes.
By the way, I gotta say, to all the hobby influencers that are like in their little mantra tent, finding their inner hobby, set collecting, I love you guys. Good vibes only. I actually feel good vibes for the hobby. I really do.
Oh, there he is.
What's up, boys?
No, I'm on
How
top.
are you?
I'm on the top. I'm
Hey.
here.
Finally, the good
Come
looking
over.
guy.
Come over. You have to come over now.
Okay.
People
Well,
can't know where this voice is.
Okay, so David, question. You
Shoot.
just said $1,000 to the person who finds the out of 5 neon green fast break 2020 Prism Maxi Kleba. You put a
Yeah.
bounty on it?
Yes.
What happens if I find it? Are you gonna pay me $1,000?
No. If you find the neon green out of 5 Maxi Kleber, you get the same shit. Hard way. Roll it however you want. Chris or Josh is rolling. Dave Owens gets the whoop. 1 of 3 rollers.
Nice.
Hard way is all your money. Enjoy. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Great.
All right.
I haven't been drinking at all. No Trulies here.
Okay. Christina's always trying to find the loophole. All right. Well, before we get to the heart of this discussion, can I just ask if there's any updates about the Mint Collective? I know a lot of people are really excited about it this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you guys want to take a couple seconds and talk about that before we talk about BWIC?
All right, fine. So I think the best part about the Mint Collective this year is that we took in everybody's feedback from last year. So definite updates. We have an extra day. We're going to separate thought leadership from the card show and trade show. So everyone's going to be able to learn, connect, network with each other. The vendors are actually going to have a chance to enjoy thought leadership and be part of the conference. That was definitely a miss last year. IMG, collectible, we all realize that, and I think that's definitely a plus. I think that everyone's waiting for information. I'm really excited to say, keep on waiting. Information's coming. It's going to be great.
You're worth it.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I can promise you is that we put a lot of thought and effort into the Mint Collective last year. Literally the first call I made on Mint Collective before IMG, before Luca Nation, frankly, before Ezra, was to Christina. And Christina gave it her stamp of approval, flat out. She got you and Josh on board. She got Ty on board. She got Mitch on board. She got Luca Nation on board. Collectively, we put a lot of thought into it. More thoughts going into it this year. I think the workshops are actually going to be a really interesting touch point for people to learn. I think that the events are going to be more interesting than last year. I think that the card show is going to be pretty fantastic, and it's going to be awesome. I'm done. Great. Love you guys. But
Now I know why Christina's had this big head.
no. So Christina and I were talking
Well earned.
yesterday. Wait until you see the Easter eggs that we put in for you and Ezra. You and Josh and Ezra are so fucked. Christina and I are plotting against you all. It's going to be great.
What else is
It's like
new?
It's like a wise man once said, FIFO, right, Marina? Okay.
No,
All right.
no, fiofo. Fuck in or fuck off.
That's it. Fiofo. All right. Okay, so let me now say hello to Ezra. We didn't introduce you guys. Everybody knows, I think, who you guys are. The brilliant minds behind Collectible and the Mint Collective and lots of great enterprises in the hobby. So, Ezra, as CEO, could you give us the quick elevator pitch on BWIC, Bids Wanted in Competition at Collectible?
You got it. Well, first I'll say, hey, this is well past my bedtime. I'm an early morning guy. I get up at 4:30. Chris, I had no idea that this show is on at 11 o'clock. I usually watch you guys on a repeat, not live here. So this is, late for me, but thrilled to be on with you guys. So Collectible's launching a new product, right? So most people probably know us for fractional ownership. You know us from the Main Collective. You know us from a bunch of other things we've done. We're launching a new product, one that we're very excited about. And one thing that we liked about this is it combines traditional collectors and people who are interested in fractional ownership, right? So think of a little David versus Goliath, right? Think of a traditional competitive bidding process, but with elements of both traditional financial market structures and fractional ownership all mixed in. So we're doing this launching Sunday night. It'll be a 7-day competitive bidding process. We have about 24, 25 pretty amazing assets. We got graded sports cards. We have, we have an amazing photo. Probably on the card side, we have a 52 Bowman Mantle 10, SGC 10. Pretty cool stuff. So this is 24, 25 assets. Introduce a couple of categories: comics, graded video games. I know very little about graded video games, but one lot that we have in particular has been described to me, and I think card aficionados will appreciate this, as think of a 52 Topps Mantle, an 8, a 7.5, and a 7 all in one lot. Pretty cool stuff. So we're really excited about this. Think of a 7-day competitive bidding process. David can talk a lot more about specifics of exactly how it works. But I think it's something that's going to be a unique innovation for the hobby. One thing Collectibles always tried to do, there's so many amazing companies, amazing auction houses, amazing entrepreneurs, marketplaces, you name it. Companies have been doing this for a hell of a lot longer than Collectible has, for sure, but also ones who are just do a terrific job, right? So Collectibles always tried to do things differently and to sort of advance the hobby forward, to grow the hobby, to introduce it to new audiences, to bring in new collectors, new investors. I know the term investor can be a little poo-poo in this industry, but I think we need a shade of both. So we're really excited about this. Dave, I'll let you talk a little bit about the overall process, how it works. I will give David a lot of credit. This was very much one of David's original children, because I said children, not child, because David has a lot of ideas. Anyone who knows David has a lot of ideas. But we're really excited about this. This is something unique and different for the hobby, and I think it probably has some interesting appeal for collectors, investors, and I think it's something that the hobby, once they get it, will really gravitate towards it.
Wow, way to put me on the fucking spot. All right, one thing I will say, whether it's Spinatron, whether it's Sniper Manis, there's so many smart people that are definitely either in this sphere, in this chat, etc. I think that when you're a part of the hobby, when you're a part of the hobby experience, especially in a hobby like this, where there's so many different subsections, where there's so many different people that do different things, want different things. I want to touch cards. I want to see cards. I want to own a fractional piece of a card. Probably not, but some of you for sure. At the end of the day, DM us your ideas on BWIC, because the only truly interesting part of BWIC is that we're not testing it in the hobby. This isn't something that we came up with out of nowhere. So Sniper Manis is a bond trader, right? This is definitely a credit. It's a CDS. Like people trade this every day in public markets. So when I was a trader, I had to deal with BWICs here and there. A BWIC is essentially a way to price hard-to-price assets. So if there's an asset or a series of assets or securities that don't trade often, that are hard to price, that, a hedge fund, money manager, a bank are afraid that they're going to misprice, they'll put it through a BWIC. The process of a BWIC is simple. It's a price discovery tool, right? So what we decided was, frankly, sports cards are hard to price. There's not always a definite price of a card. Even cards that we know transact often, PWCC has eye appeal. Mike Baker has his stamp. Different people believe that different cards in graded examples are better than others, right? So in a world where everything is subjective, it's the easiest way. Offer your price, right? So I think that I actually really think that we have a fair market mentality, right? You have eBay traditionally, Golden stepped up, Collector's Universe has public markets knowledge, private markets knowledge, Golden's knowledge, PWCC has stepped up and created their own marketplace, right? So for all the people that say there's too many marketplaces, there's hundreds of venues to trade public securities. If you're a hedge fund manager, there's hundreds of venues, there's hundreds of technologies, right? So I'm a trader. I trade in the darks. I trade out loud. I snipe liquidity, right? There's so many different products. There's so many different companies that I use. At the end of the day, too many companies is never too many. If you are seeking liquidity, you want as many venues of liquidity as possible to get the best price. This whole market, this whole industry is based on price discovery. Where we are losing right now is that there is no reason for a buyer to pay up. If I'm going to an auction, I can see the same cards in this month's auction that I'll see in next month's auction. What's the onus on me to fucking pay? Most likely currently in this sphere, zero, right? So here's BWIC. BWIC creates a reason for buyers to come out with their best offer. You get one bid potentially to get you to the next round. Educate yourself on the asset. You're most likely only bidding if you want to own the asset. You know what you're looking for, right? If you're a seller, it's not binary. It's not an auction. It's a process. You are not selling the asset unless you get your price. You get a range, and trust me, we put teeth into the process where there is most likely a little bit of pressure on a seller to sell, for sure. Like, you're not paying us 5% for price discovery, right? You want to sell the asset, sell the asset. Either way, long story short, it is a unshillable, genuinely honest process where honest bidders are going to meet honest sellers, and you're either going to come to a price or you're not going to come to a price. And it works the same way in public markets. Hedge funds do it the same way. Family offices do it the same way. Banks do it the same way. And it was the most obvious transactional tool that, as a financial technology company, we could introduce. Because frankly, listen, we got it. Not everyone wants to buy a piece of something. And at the end of the day, we're not perfect, and we're not in the pricing game, right? Fractional has a ton of benefits, but it has a ton of just like minor imperfections that just come across with timing. This is in real time. BWIC is in real time. And that's why I love it. That's why I introduced it. That's why Ezra loved it. That's why Ezra signed off on it. It's a imperfect, perfect process. Sorry, I rant. I talk too much.
Yeah,
David,
just
me.
David,
Sorry,
could you start over, man? It broke up about halfway through.
No, and tell Stiff to stop.
Seriously. Here's a very, very quick summary of how it goes, right? So it's a competitive bidding process. The whole process is 7 days, right? 7 days only. It's broken up into two parts, right? So the first 5 days is what's called the qualifying round, as David alluded to, right? In the qualifying round, any bidders, and this is open to anyone all across the world, right? Everyone gets one bid and one bid only. All of it is completely sealed, right? So you don't know who's bidding against you. You don't know the price anyone else is bidding. All that matters is what you're willing to pay for that asset in that first round. The top three and only the top three fully verified bids advance to the second round, which is called the final round. The final round lasts 2 days. Just the top three, right? The top three get one more best and final bid, and ultimately that best bid of the top three is ultimately presented to the consignor, to the seller, where they have the right to either sell the asset at the price or not to sell the asset at that price. Concurrently, there's also a fractional ownership bidding process as well, right? So if you can't afford $1 million asset, but you can afford a fractional ownership interest in it, you can bid as part of a new product also called group bidding, right? So you can either bid as an individual or bid as a group. The fractional bid ultimately competes against the individual bid, and whoever wins, wins, right? Whatever the highest bid emerges at the end of the day, wins, right? So it's a really interesting tool that expands the depth of buyer pools. You can, again, sell into a group or sell to the individual, whichever one has, at the end of the day, a higher bid for the asset.
Got it. That sounds exciting. Okay. Let me pass it to Josh. Josh?
Yeah.
Take it away, buddy. Do you have any questions for these guys?
I do. How do you decide when an item comes through? How do you decide whether it goes through the fractional route that you guys had before versus the new one? Is it up to the consignor, or is it up to you guys to decide where it goes?
A great question there, right? So, with fractional ownership, the way we've been doing it to date, right? And again, fractional has worked. We've done $55 million of completed fractional transactions, 28 exits above IPO price, average return 60% above IPO. We have 100,000 users, right? Fractional has categorically worked. Obviously, it works better in rising markets than it does in declining markets, but that's true of anything, right? Everything works better in a bull market than it does in a bear market. This process is really geared perfectly for assets that are difficult to price, right? Because, on one-of-ones, on grails, things that haven't sold in 10 years, right? One-of-one memorabilia, you name it, right? There's no obvious market clearing price. And there's a lot of cards, no matter how good the auction house is going to do, and the auction house is doing an amazing job, right? There's some assets that just frankly, I hear this, David hears this, you guys hear this, you guys probably experience it. Some assets are not auction assets. There's too much binary risk, right? So this is a really great pricing tool where people can put assets that otherwise would not hit the market to the market, see what the market's willing to bear on it, and then ultimately decide at that point, do you want to sell it or do you not? Fractional is amazing in so many different ways, and it works really well for assets where the price is explainable, the price is justifiable, and the price is something that hundreds, if not thousands of people can agree to. So it really comes down to what the asset is, and we'll use fractional, we'll use BWIC, and we'll use a whole other suite of services that we have as well to sort of move assets in whatever ways we think is best for the consignor. And obviously, the consignor or the seller will have a lot of input in that as well.
And I want to touch on binary risk for a second, right? I think that Chris actually championed this, right? If you look at the best Instagram accounts in the hobby, the best influencers in the hobby, and Cage, I love you. Like, I saw your comment, like, totally love you. Not a Zoom, but seriously, show cards, right? Show your cards. People want to see cards. People love cards. We're all here for cards, right? But at the end of the day, this isn't about being an auction house. It's about satisfactory binary risk. We want to see new cards come to the market. We want to see cards that haven't transacted in a long time come to the market. This is a tool where you not only have price discovery as a seller, and I'm not selling the fucking product, but this is how it works, right? You are going to see better assets, better cards come to the market, and better buyers come to the table to be attracted to those cards because there's no binary risk. If you simply want price discovery, take the price discovery. The hobby deserves that price discovery. People should see assets that haven't transacted in 4 or 5 years. And to me, like I said to Ezra flat out, if we sell 1 asset or 2 assets on this first BWIC, it's a proof of concept. It's a win, right? At the end of the day, this is more about just simplifying the transactional process. And I hope everyone copies us. I hope Gold does this. I hope PWCC does this. I hope all of our contemporaries do something similar to this, because it is a simpler way to transact that protects buyers and sellers. And if that's my contribution, great.
That's cool, man. That really appreciate the thoroughness. Josh, did you want to follow up right there, buddy?
I kind of just want to know, like, does the consignor choose basically? Like the person that brings the item, or do they say like, I want it to go fractional or I want it to go the Buick?
Yeah. So, for the last year and a half, whatever it's been, collectibles had really one way to kind of work with consignors, and that's the traditional fractional path. Now what we've built is a suite of tools and services that can do various different things. We have a private sales division. We have, a marketplace division. We have a Buick division. We have a fractional division. We have essentially a fractional express division only available to accredited investors, where we can, sort of get things out the door quickly. We're doing our first, sort of verified accredited investor only offering tomorrow, surprise drop at Joe Burrow NTRPA. We got that out in one day, right? So there's now Collectible has 4 or 5 different ways that we can work with consignors that I think are really unique and different, right? And so, God, all Collectibles tried to do since we started is just move the hobby forward, elevate the hobby, innovate, try to kind of introduce new products that hadn't existed before. And ultimately, I think collectors will decide what they think is the best tool for them. And by the way, Buick will not be the best tool for everybody. Fractional will be the best tool for everybody, right? Fractional is great because you get partial liquidity. You can retain some equity. That's a lot of the reasons why consignors loves it. You believe in your card, you believe in your grail, you want some liquidity. Fractional is amazing for you, right? You want immediate, transactions. Fractional is not good for you because you have to wait for SEC, the SEC to approve it, right? Buick, you want price discovery, you want, the ability to kind of have optionality. Buick is perfect for you, right? So it's just, there's new sales channels that collectors should be aware of, and ultimately the collector gets to decide who they think and what process they think is best for their own cards. I think that's what's exciting, right? So many companies, not just collectible. Card Ladder is a perfect example. You guys, really started when collectible did. You guys brought an amazing innovation to the hobby, that also helps with pricing assets, right? So, I think all of this is really just a great indication of the amount of intellectual capital that has come into the space and how the hobby continues to elevate, continues to move forward, and we're really excited by it.
So Cage just asked a great question. What makes us the most qualified to offer Buick? Honestly, I hope everyone actually offers it. Like, I truly want this to be a sales tool for everybody. Price discovery is everything in this industry. Your business, Chris, Josh, Christina, is based on data. Let the data speak for itself. We're never going to grow the hobby unless everyone sees a full sphere of assets.
Definitely. No, well said. Okay, so I have one question before I let you guys go, and if Josh has any to follow up after that, that's great too. My question was just, so as a potentially interested person in submitting a bid to the first round and hoping to make the second, what percentage of the time, realistically, do you guys expect that the seller is going to ultimately end up accepting one of the bids submitted in the final round? Because as a bidder, I see a card that I'm interested in and want to throw a bid in there. But if I feel like these are only getting accepted 20 or 30% of the time, maybe I'm going to be like, do I want to go through the motions? But maybe other people disagree with that. But I guess that's where the heart of my question is coming from. Is like, as a bidder, how do I know my time is being well spent doing the research and sending in a bid?
So
Great
do you
question.
want to handle that?
I can try to, and if I stumble, Dave, you'll be there to catch me, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, look, this is very curated, right? So we're only doing this to start on 25 lots. Ultimately, that could expand, but we are really curating assets and really curating consignors in the process, right? Who we believe are putting fair valuations on their things. We use essentially what's called a context price. That's a minimum clearing price, right? So we use that to essentially establish, what we think is a reasonable fair value for the estimate, right? So we're really curating assets and curating consignors to make sure that sellers are really looking to sell if they get a competitive bid, right? This is not a process where, you're going to sell something for far less than you thought. This is not a binary risk auction. Auctions do a great job, but this is not a binary risk auction, right? So our job in this is to curate great assets, but also consigners who are realistic with their minimum clearing prices. And ultimately, if bidders show up and bid competitively, then assets will transact.
Yeah.
So here's what Ezra's also not saying, which is the beauty of BWIC. So in art auctions, right, at Sotheby's, at Christie's, people have the ability to put in a guaranteed bid. So what a guaranteed bid is somebody's putting up the risk to guarantee the auction house a certain amount of money for an asset, and then they participate in the upside above their guarantee. So with BWIC, what we decided to do to incentivize buyers is we split our fee if an asset does not sell and somebody takes in price discovery. If a seller, a consignor, does not transact, the fee that we take in, we split with the highest bidder.
Interesting.
At the end of the day, you want people to bid strong. You want people to be educated on what they're buying. You're not coming to us, you're not coming to BWIC. If you're throwing shit at the wall, sorry, I'm not as eloquent as Ezra, you're not going to bid on 10 assets. You're coming for that one asset you want to own. You're coming for Eric Meyer's 97 stars Kobe, or the Jordan, or the 52 Bowman 10 SGC, right? Like, you want to own these assets. We're getting them for you. But if you don't win and you're the highest bid, and we are taking that fee, 2.5% to you, 2.5% to us.
Got it. Okay, so that's a pretty strong incentive to ultimately take a bid if there's still going to be some costs on the other end if you don't. So
correct.
Yeah,
it's teeth.
That's great. That's just super interesting. Okay, so that's all I've got. Christina actually has a list of 10 questions for you guys, but she says she's going to email them rather than ask them on the show.
It's past Ezra's bedtime.
Yeah, we kept up Ezra way too long.
He's got to wake up early with the kids tomorrow.
Okay.
So
I've got a 3-year-old. I have a 1-year-old. So my day's gonna start at 5:30 tomorrow. I'm usually in bed, by the way, by 10 o'clock max.
Okay.
I'm well past my bedtime here. But for you guys, I show up always.
Nice.
My wife's in Montreal. I'm in New York City by myself. I'm going out. One
Okay,
of the year, I'm out. I'm going out. I'm having fun.
Talk about a fork in the road there. Two different paths.
I think
okay.
she's watching
Josh,
right now, so I love
Let
you.
me throw it to Josh to bring us home if he's got any questions, or if not, we'll wrap it there.
Nope, I'm good. Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
a
guys.
lot for coming on, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Night.
Best of
Yeah,
luck.
you guys.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
All right. And all right, David dropped. Let me see if I can. There we go. And Ezra. So that was Ezra Levine and David Marino of Collectible, who just joined us to talk about BWIC, not Buick, not the car, but BWIC, bids wanted in competition. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out when they roll that out soon. So, what do you think, Josh?
It's interesting. The part that I didn't know about, which we learned tonight, is the ability for the seller to decline at the very end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, David went on a small rant about binary risk, and there's the seller gets to off-put a lot of risk if they ultimately don't have to accept the best bid.
Well, a little known fact about the crossover, we were debating between naming it the crossover or binary risk, and we...
Oh, I wrote down a
We
few...
chose wrong, is what Josh is trying to say. It should have been binary risk.
I wrote down a few Marinoisms as potential show titles.
Oh,
So,
good.
One of them was I Snipe Liquidity. So I like that one a lot. And then the other one was too many companies is never too many. So I thought both of those were very clever from Mr. Marino. All right. That was great. That was that was a lot. I'm sure that probably only introduced 100 more questions that people have. David and Ezra are very responsive, and so is the collectible team. So if people have follow-ups, do not hesitate to just reach out to them. Oh, and then they also said Fiofo as another title option. Okay.
So just go to their site and check out the 25 items they're selling. There's some cool cards.
There you go. Collectible.com. Okay. So you didn't have any mail days. I don't have any. I got a few more Jokic optic golds, but I've shown
Are you serious?
cards. Yeah.
You got
They just
more?
keep throwing up in packages. I don't even know if I ordered these or not.
That was me.
They just keep coming.
You have 4 of the 10 for 1 year now?
I have 3 of the 10 for 1 year. I have 2 of the 10 for a few years. So
How many of those black prisms do you have?
2.
Do you know where the rest
Just-
are?
I know where 3 of them are.
No, we're 12 of them. Oh, gosh, a lot of those were select, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of those are select. Okay. Let's get to the first question of today. Slightly less heady topic. 515 Sports Card says, what is the best and worst case Super Bowl matchup for the hobby? Okay? And then instead of just we'll talk about that, but let's just talk about football weekend. We don't live in the same domicile that we did when we were talking football at the end of the last season, but Christina wrote on our old big whiteboard, Josh picks the Bills. Josh picks the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are still in it. So let's just run down the slate, Josh. Let's just talk a little bit of football, a little bit of hobby. So the first game up we have tomorrow, Jags at Chiefs. Do we really need to discuss this one all that much?
I'm going with Jaguars.
I mean, it's T-Law all the way, baby.
Let's
Oh, are you both you guys on the Jags? Woo!
Dude, we're on the Jags, bro. Do you see that comeback? No deficit is too big for my man Trevor Lawrence.
What were you thinking when it was 27-0?
I was thinking we got him right where we want him. This game is basically already over in our favor. No, he was terrible. He had he ended up with a 30 QBR at the end of the game, even after I think when I checked, he was 4 of 16 with 4 interceptions. It was oh my god.
Yeah. Yep. Chiefs are gonna be really tough. They absolutely destroyed the Jags when they met in the regular season.
It was 7.5.
But
Do you know the spread? It's 7.5 or 8 or something crazy.
okay, Chiefs were having a hard time beating bad teams towards the end of the season, and the Jaguars got better as the season went on. They're not the same team that got destroyed by the Chiefs earlier. Hopefully it's a competitive game, but you ain't going to be able to come back 27-0 on Mahomes and co.
No, he already got his nerves out of the way. Okay?
Nice. Okay, all right.
It's all smooth sailing from here.
I'm taking the Chiefs to win that game, by the way.
All right.
So there we go. All right. The next game is New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh. The Giants kind of feel like this darling Cinderella team that we all want to win, right?
Right.
They beat the Vikings. They just playing way above their heads, it feels like, talent-wise. They have no receivers, yet somehow they're throwing for 300 yards. They're a fun team to watch.
They're a fun team to watch. Christina just chimed in that the Eagles are trash. So, the best regular season team.
The Eagles are a fraud. If you look at their schedule,
Christina's been studying their schedule, and she feels like their strength of opponent was not sufficiently high to warrant their world beater reputation.
exactly.
So, look who joined us just as we're talking Philadelphia.
He heard that. He heard Eagles are trash, and then just got summoned.
The worst call to him. Let's go. Your Eagles are trash.
Oh my God! Don't do that to that man.
Picking the Giants. I'm rooting for the Giants, picking the Giants.
Wow.
Let's go.
All right. Well, give me the Eagles.
Okay.
I will take the Eagles. I believe in that Eagles team.
We should
And
call you Captain Chalk.
Captain Chalk. Captain favorites. Captain home favorites right here, baby.
I think the Eagles are like -7 right now as well.
I'm making all the tough calls. Any hobby implications from those two games? I think Daniel Jones has a weird momentum going that he could keep going right now. I saw that his Prism Black 1-of-1 rookie BGS 9.5 sold for $12,000 in an auction a few months ago. I mean, look, if they get really hot or something, that's a really fun card. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles scare me as a person who's rooting for a different NFC team. So I wouldn't mind if the Giants. If the Giants won, but I think there's a lot of football momentum to go around here. What do you think, Josh? Hobby implications from Saturday's games?
Well, when you asked best case, the original question was like best case scenario, worst case for the hobby. I think they're all really good cases because I was looking at all the starting quarterbacks. I believe are 27 years or younger. So it's like a nice, hobby rounded version of what we all want to see for quarterbacks in these playoffs. So I think any of these scenarios would be pretty solid. If I had to pick one that was like not super ideal, I would probably be Daniel Jones just because he's like doesn't have like the historical hobby love except for the last few months. So, but everybody else, dude, you can make a case for everybody. Hurts, T-Law, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, all these guys have crazy hobby love. Dak has, I guess, not a ton, but
what's more fun for the hobby, a Trevor Lawrence win this weekend or a Patrick Mahomes win?
They're equal.
Lawrence. Christina says Lawrence, duh. And Josh says both. Basically, you can't lose.
No, I don't think you can lose. I mean, Mahomes is going to be in this like Final 8, Final 4 every year, forever. So it's like you might as well just count it. Like we're just going to keep getting this. T-Law is like on that cusp of. It kind of feels like is he going to go one way or is he going to go the other? Is this going to be his new norm, or are we going to kind of like fall back to the Jaguars?
Yeah. As a person of analytics reverence, I would love to see Mahomes this year. People have like sort of run with this idea that Mahomes is like head and shoulders above the other quarterbacks, but QBR wise, that wasn't true until this year. And then this year, he really separated himself from the field, ending the season with a 77 QBR. I think the next best was a 71 from Josh Allen. So this year, I have become a subscriber to the Mahomes is in his own class philosophy, and I'd like to see that vindicated by a really nice, strong playoff run.
Yeah.
Understanding that there's variance and randomness that can happen in playoff games, and we really shouldn't use a one-game sample to determine if a player's great or not. Nonetheless, my second favorite playoff outcome is Mahomes winning.
What's your first?
My first. Okay, well, let's go to Sunday's game.
The Bears are already eliminated, so.
You don't say. You don't. The Bears have the number 1 pick of the draft, buddy, and we are coming like a phoenix rising from the ashes. All right. So Sunday. We've got the first game is Bengals at Bills. So you're taking Bills.
I mean, I will point out that they've been a lot worse on defense since Von Miller got hurt. So that worries me. And I don't think he's coming back. Yeah. And Josh Allen has a case of the turnovers. So I'm worried, but still might as well ride with it. What's the harm?
Fair, but you're not as confident.
No. No, they were dominant earlier with Miller and Allen, but now not as confident.
Go ahead.
I'm going Joey B.
Has Christina ever had as strong of opinions as she does on this weekend's divisional round NFL?
I'm calling it now. It's going to be Joe Burrow versus T-Law in the divisional. It's going to be a redo of the football championship.
Oh, nice. Okay, all right. I got you. That would be fun.
She's anti-chalk.
Yeah, she is going against the chalk tonight. All right, so I will take the Bengals to take the other side of you two on all three. Oh no, you said Burrow as well. I love Joe Burrow, but I think he can sit on the shelf for another year. I'd like for this to be Josh Allen's year.
You just are trying to pick anti-me the whole way. It's not going to work for this last one.
Are the Bills favored, Josh?
Yeah, the Bengals have 3 starting offensive linemen out in the game, including their left tackle, their right tackle, and their right guard. So, I mean, that's going to be tough for them. I believe the Bengals the Bills are favored by 4, I believe, 3.5, something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
Bills are tough at home. They're usually pretty tough at home.
yeah. Well, then give me the Bengals so that I'm not going straight chalk. Okay, but I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Allen make it to at least a conference championship. All right. And the last game is Cowboys at 49ers. And this is the game, my favorite outcome would be the 49ers going on because Christian McCaffrey is finally getting his playoff opportunity. So Cowboys at 49ers. Cowboys, Dak Prescott was the best quarterback in terms of QBR from last week's wild card round. Brock Purdy was second. So we get to see a matchup of the 2 best performing quarterbacks from week 1 and week 2. Which way are you leaning on Cowboys and Niners?
Man, the Niners just I know Purdy's playing good. It just feels like no matter what Purdy does, it's going to turn out great because that team is just so loaded. The whole team is just absolutely stacked. You could just feel it on the field. Like there's mismatches everywhere. McCaffrey's dominating. Kittle's peaking right now. Samuel's back. Deebo Samuel. They're just so loaded. But no, I'm going to go the opposite of you on every pick. Let's do it. Cowboys. I don't know why. I just feel the Cowboys are going to start peaking right now, and this is their kind of chance to exercise all these playoff demons is this really tough road game. So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, and they lost to the Niners last year in the playoffs on a really close game with that. Yeah, and with that weird Prescott couldn't get to the line fast enough play to end the game. So nice revenge spot for the Cowboys, as my gambling podcast would say.
All 4 of these games feel very exciting. I just want to watch all 4. They all have really great storylines.
They do. They all have great players. They all have great. I won't go on a limb and say they all have great QBs because we can't give Brock Purdy that designation yet.
Or Daniel Jones.
Or Daniel Jones or T. Law. But those guys, there's all quarterbacks with a level of accomplishment that's pretty impressive. Purdy has never lost an NFL game. He's 7-0.
His starting
Great quarterback.
I think Jalen Hurts was 4th in QBR this year, and if you're top 5 QB, if you're top 5 in QBR, you're up there. You're pretty darn.
I feel like the Eagles haven't played a game in 3 months.
Well,
they got off such a hot start that they sort of coasted at the end. Then Hurts got hurt. Then they demolished the Giants who weren't even trying. And then they had a bye week. I just feel like we haven't seen the actual Eagles play a real football game in so long. You know what I mean?
yep.
And the Giants are hot because they're super hot right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Okay. Well, maybe the worst hobby outcome or the best. I don't know. Purdy somehow winning it all.
I was thinking
that's the joke. That's the Joker and Batman. That's just introducing a little chaos.
Yeah.
That's just
Purdy.
I don't know if we can handle it.
Purdy winning is me being I don't know what to do with my hands. Where do I put them? I don't know what to do with this. Do we get excited about it for his future hobby? Do we even know if he has rookie cards? I don't know what to do with this. It's very awkward.
Yep. And so then the question comes ultimately here: what's the Super Bowl matchup that you'd most like to see for the hobby?
For the hobby. Oh man, I just feel like T-Law would be exciting for the hobby. Maybe that's just me being biased. That's fine. T-Law and I'll say Jaguars, and I'll say Eagles. Because I just Hurts and Lawrence aren't quite to the level of some of the Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes. And if we can get a couple more guys to get into that tier, it'd be exciting. Or, it's do we just want the chalk and have Mahomes back there and just kind of raise the ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. T-Law will install hope into anybody prospecting on any QB.
Prospecting.
And
Yeah.
even if that QB starts off terribly, even if they have a horrible first year, T-Law says never give up, especially if he goes all the way and wins it all, which is cool. It's not bad to have a little hope in the hobby.
Yeah, all 4 of these games are exciting, and I kind of just want to watch chaos. Like, I just want to watch exciting games, and, if the Jags win, if really, honestly, if any of these teams win, I'll find some level of excitement in it.
Yeah. I'm going to say for the hobby, Mahomes is the best outcome because a lot of people have put a lot of faith into him being the new modern era best among the best.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the second best outcome is Joe Burrow because Burrow got all the way there last year, gave a lot of people a lot of reason to be optimistic and hopeful. He's still got developing and improving to do, and he's showing that he can make changes to his game and improve. Him winning the Super Bowl would be a lot of fun. And I think it would be a nice reward for people who watched him last year, watched him get all the way to the Super Bowl, decided, hey, this guy's somebody that I'd like to follow along with and believe in and collect their cards, and then see him get all the way back and do it again would be a pretty cool storyline. Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, those are cool storylines too. I think both those teams are going to be good for a long time as well. Those guys are going to have more opportunities, most likely. Dak Prescott, I wouldn't hate seeing him do well and, vindicate some of his collectors. So there's a lot of good potential outcomes. And Christina, what's the best case? Who do you want to see win the Super Bowl for the hobby?
I just want.
Do not avoid the question.
For the hobby is just
Oh my gosh, she's fighting the question.
I am fighting the question.
Just pick one so we can move on.
I would like to see Burrow versus Purdy in the Super Bowl.
All right.
And I want Burrow to win, which is not going to make for a comfortable night for myself. Because you'll probably make me sleep on the couch.
If Burrow beats the Niners?
Yeah.
That's right. How dare you? Okay.
How dare I?
All right, next question. Moving on. Going to be a great weekend of football. Mouse in the House Cards, great username, says, is there any other industry that asks if it's dead every time a market correction occurs?
Probably not. Probably not. I'm sure that question gets thrown around in stocks and stuff all the time, and Bitcoin and NFTs.
Man, how about that Jamie Dimon coming out and saying that Bitcoin's a fraud? Ouch. All right.
Who are we talking about that says the hobby's dead? Is that something I didn't catch today? I keep seeing people complain about it, but I never saw anybody say it.
I don't know, man. There is an account run by Seablez called The Hobby is Alive.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like the opposite.
Right. I haven't seen any The Hobby is Dead accounts yet, but you never know. All right. Stephen Pitts 85 would like to know, where have all the influencers gone?
They're influencing. Their work is done. They've put down their mantle. They've my work is done here. I can set this hobby down, knowing it's in good hands with the rest of you collectors, and I will just bow out.
I wish.
Yeah,
I wish.
that's all. They completed the task. They fulfilled the contract. And,
Yeah, it's like the green check emoji.
All right. Have you noticed an absence of influencers? I still see influencing happening.
There's a few accounts that come to my mind where I'm like, where have they gone? Probably scouring some other industry where they can take advantage of people. That's probably what they're doing.
Fair. Yeah, that's a good point. That brings a few to mind that have left.
Are they really gone, or did you just mute them all from your feed so you just don't see them anymore?
Or did they meet themselves?
That would be for
Or they blocked me.
society.
Okay.
Or they blocked me.
But what I'm saying is they may unmute when the pendulum swings back the other way again in the hobby. All right, Upstate Sports Cards says, how many people in the industry are either full-time into cards or full-time sports card content creators? Is this good or bad for the hobby? Are there too many full-time dealers? What are your thoughts?
Good or bad with the implication that there's too many? Yeah, I mean, that pendulum kind of swung. I'm stealing that word. That pendulum kind of swung a lot, in the last 2 years, and there's a lot of people that are scrambling to figure out, like, should I continue with my business or should I bail out and shift to something else? And I'm sure a lot of people are holding on maybe longer than they should, just because it is a fun industry to be a part of. So you'd love to, like, stick around and be a business that's thriving within this industry. It's a good place to be. So that's a lot, man. It's probably a lot more dealers than, like, business side, but 6 figures, 100,000, I don't know, a lot.
Yeah, agreed. That's kind of the paradox of being a dealer, is that if you are a dealer, you want nobody else to be a dealer. Not just because that gives you, like, a competitive advantage. You're spending all your time tracking down cards and you don't have as many other people trying to do the same thing. It's not just that. It's that if everybody else has other day jobs, then they're bringing in income from other sources, and then when they get paid, they can use that income from other sources to inject it into the hobby and buy more cards. And they're taking money from outside the hobby and putting it into the hobby. And so as a dealer, that's your best case scenario. Is like, you're not relying on having to buy and sell cards and pass off cards to people who are themselves looking to make a margin, and that margin is coming from recycled money that's internal to the hobby. That's a little bit muddled. But the gist of this idea is that if people are working jobs outside of the hobby, they're dentists, let's say, they're bringing in income from their practice or from their profession, and then they're allocating some amount of it to buying cards. Okay, so they're allocating some amount of it to buying cards. And that's good. As a dealer, that's your best case scenario, is that you have as many people from outside bringing money into the hobby that wasn't already in the hobby. Whereas dealers, their money's already in the hobby, and the profit that they're generating is coming from deals that are within the hobby itself. And so the pool of available funds is smaller. So that's the best case scenario. Do you kind of follow where I'm going with that? I feel like it wasn't super clear.
No, I totally follow it. I think maybe I could try to summate what you're saying. Like, the heartbeat of the hobby to me is like the person who brings the money from the outside of the hobby, has a normal day job, they collect sort of on their own in silence, and they just trudge ahead all the time. They're always looking to add new cards to their PC. They get a paycheck, they spend some portion of that increasing the size of their collection, expanding the amount of players they have in, upgrading grades, grading raw cards. Like, that sort of activity is what keeps the hobby moving forward, like you're saying. And so I've always just thought that persona to me is just so much more important to the long-term health of the hobby than all the stuff we see, which is like the thousands of dealers and influencers and content creators. Those are kind of meant, the role of that is to bring in that silent person and bring in that outside money. That's the role that should be filling.
For sure. Yeah. So full-time sports card content creators, I don't think there are very many of those at all.
What do you mean? Like the vlogging stuff?
Yeah. Or I don't know, any type of content creation, I guess. Although, I don't know, is Lamim full-time? No, he's not. No. Somebody give Lamim the bag so he can...
I've offered.
Lamim is rebuffed card letter sponsorships. All right. Do you think it's a problem that there's lots of... that a decent percentage of people who are in the hobby full-time, and they're not of the ilk that you and I are describing? They're not people with day jobs outside of the hobby who collect, and they don't look at the hobby as a vehicle to generate their rent and their health and pay their health insurance bill and stuff like that.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it'll just kind of work itself out. Like there was a boom of that type of person coming in because of just where the market was going and how easy it was to make money and how easy it was to jump in, say anything, and look smart. And it's just sort of getting weeded out, and it'll just take care of itself. Those people, a lot of them will disappear because there's no more money to be made, and we're going to be left with the same quiet people who continue to collect the same way they've always done.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. I think that's about the right where I land as well, is that if there is an imbalance, it ain't going to last for too long. It's going to work itself out pretty quickly. It might even be working itself out a little bit right now as we see kind of a surplus of cards coming to auction. that we
Did you notice? You noticed this too. You sent me some stuff. Like we keep saying there's a surplus of cards, but it honestly feels like it's literally like the same exact cards. Not necessarily like the same like set. It's like literally the exact same serial numbered card.
Yeah. Like
someone is like turning over these same cards.
Oh yeah, there's been an onslaught of examples where a card sells 6 months to a year ago, and then that exact same copy sells again within the last month or two. In fact, let me give a few examples that are on the top of mind. And I like these examples because these are not the cards that are on the top of everybody's mind. Most people are like, oh, this same Brady Champ ticket sold and then sold again. It's not just Brady Champ tickets. And so let me show you this one first, because this one is actually a success story, which is it's the only one I've actually seen of its kind. So this Luca Bird logo man, this one,
which I love that they chose
PSA 7
Dallas green to go with the Celtics green.
I can't. The asymmetry of the logo men would take a little bit of getting used to. It's a very beautiful card. Okay, so this card sold for $90,000 in April, and then it sold for $144,000 last night. All right, so there's an example of literally the same card. But like I said, that's the only example that I can show you where the price of the card went up. Now I'm going to show you some other weird ones where the price went down. So this is a Bill Russell 2004 exquisite number pieces. Again, this is a spectacular card as well. This is numbered 6 of 6, PSA 6 of the iconic 6. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. This card sold for $103,000 a year ago. Last night, it went for $45,000. Okay, so Bill Russell exquisite, not something that you would generally associate with losing half of its value over the course of a year. Nonetheless, $103,000 to $45,000 over the course of a year. And then I'll give you one more example.
Then I have one for you.
Nice. Okay. This is, speaking of Joe Burrow. Speaking of Joe Burrow. So this card sold for $204,000. I'm doing this research through the Card Letter Sales History tool, by the way. This PSA 9 red Laundry Tag 1 of 1 NT RPA sold for $204,000 in July, and then it sold last night for $84,000. $204,000 to $84,000 turned around and sold within about 6 to 7 months of purchase. And what's the example that you had, Josh?
Well, those are like super low serial number cards. I have so search. I own this card, so this might, whatever. 2003 finest gold LeBron. Just search that.
Yep.
There's
7?
3. No, there's also an 8.5. Keep the 8.5 in the search. The 8.5 is the same as the 7. Someone cracked that and put the 7. The same card sold 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. So in BGS 8.5.
So there's 4, and 3 of them are the same fucking card.
Okay. So here's the BGS 8.5. Beautiful card. Sold for basically $300,000 in March of 2021. It was regraded to be a PSA 7, and it sold. Here it is as a PSA 7. It looks really nice in the PSA slab. It sold for $288,000 in April 2022. A different copy goes for $200,000 in April of 2022, and then it sells again in July for $126,000. And three of those four sales described are of the exact same copy.
So the reason I bring this topic up originally was there's this sense that like people are flooding the market, everyone's selling, panicking. That card's numbered to 25. 2 of the 25 have sold in the last 5 years or whatever. 2 of the 25. 1 out of 12. It's still a low percentage of those cards are selling. It's just that I think we're seeing this flood. It feels like a flood because we're seeing a large group of people that bought cards at the absolute peak in 2021, and they're getting out and they're just cutting bait. And that feels like a big loss. And I know it's more than that. There's obviously like still losses going on, but a big part of it I still feel is that scenario.
Yeah, has to be. Has to be. And we're not used to seeing some of the most high-profile cards that almost never sell. But when you look at like their 20-year sales history, they maybe have a handful of sales, and then one of them comes to auction maybe early 2022, or maybe it came to auction in 2021, and then all of a sudden all of them are being turned around and sold again 6 months to a year later. That's just never fundamentally how our market has worked. It's never worked that way. So it's creating an impression that we're not used to, because normally we as collectors, we think, oh, that big card showed up. It hasn't shown up in 3 years. Somebody's going to win that card, and then we're never going to see it again. Lo and behold, a new phenomenon has occurred where somebody wins that huge Grail card, and then it's for sale 6 months later or a year later. Let me give one last example of this. This one's kind of like random, but like okay. All right, so this card sold for $67,000 in December of 2020. This is Ben Roethlisberger's Ultimate Collection RPA Shield, and the autograph grade is a 10. And I mean, that's got to be one of Roethlisberger's very best cards. All right, $67,000 in December of 2020, and then last night this card sold for $19,200. So that's the type of card that just.
Well, here's the thing, and it's going to come. It always comes back to this, and I'll just say it for the millionth time. The value of these cards are always going to find their way to the price that people are willing to pay for it and own it and have it in their collection. That is what drives the value. The person that bought that card for $67,000 clearly doesn't care about owning Ben Roethlisberger's best card. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sold it 6 months later. If you're a diehard Ben Roethlisberger fan and you're willing to spend $67,000 on that card and you would cherish that card for the rest of your life, you own Ben Roethlisberger's best card. You don't give a shit what happens. You wouldn't sell it. You just wouldn't. Why would you take that loss? Like, why? You would only do that if you're just panicking and you don't care about it and you want the money.
Yep.
Right? So that whole mindset of thinking of like, let me buy this thing to make money, it's got to go away. It's got to come back to how much do I as an individual feel comfortable paying with my own hard-earned money to buy this card and own it and keep it in my possession and have it as a collectible. And that's the only way I know how to think about cards. I've always thought that way. I know you think the same way. And we just had this massive flood of people that did not think that way, and that's correcting itself. And that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's extremely well said. And to take that to take and apply that logic, it's not that I doubt the legitimacy of the transactions over the last year and a half of some pretty high profile cards. I believe that money changed hands and people bought stuff and fees were paid, etc. It's not that I know that happened, or in instances where I don't know, I have strong reason to believe that it happened.
Right. Whether
it's because auction houses haven't removed the listings and their policies to remove unpaid listings, whatever. We have reason to believe these items were paid. But I now have to be very skeptical over what those prices actually mean with respect to establishing a market that's built on a collector base for that player. And it's painful to acknowledge that, because over the course of 2021 and 2022, Christina bought, you bought a lot of cards. and we were playing in a market that, for all we know, may have had zero basis in the demand that collectors and people who actually want to own the card would have created. And instead, we were kind of held hostage and participating in a market that was focused on buying and quickly turning around really important cards, like what that Roethlisberger card is to his canon of cards, in order to make a profit on the cards. And that created a market that just, I have to cast a skeptical eye on prices that were realized in that market. I just kind of have to do it. What do you think about that?
I agree, but our experience was able to help us sort of wade through that. What I mean by that is, like, I can only think of like one or two cards that each of us, like the Jordan Flare, where like we probably bought it getting a little bit overexcited. I have a couple too, so it's not where we got a little overexcited thinking like, I haven't seen this card in a while, I'll just buy it. And then we probably should have seen our experience should have pointed out, hey, this is going to come up in a couple months. This is going to come up in a year. Like, I should be patient and just wait it out. But like most of the stuff we bought in the last year that you're talking about was like one of one stuff, super rare stuff that it's like we know this is really our only chance. And so our experience tells us, based on the type of card it is and our knowledge of how much we know this card actually is out there available, we should play it smart and wait, or we should just jump at it now. So that's where the part that if you don't have a lot of experience over last year, it's tough. You could have really gotten burned.
Yeah. Yes, you could have. And even somebody who had the perfect approach to the hobby and the maximal amount of wisdom and experience, that person still could have got burned over the last year or two if their outlook is like what you described, which is just, hey, these are cards that they might never come up again, and what am I going to do? My option is to pay market price, or just, who knows, or take the gamble. So, sometimes it's just a shitty environment, and you got to roll with the punches.
I just feel like a majority of the money that you and I spent over the last year during the boom was taking advantage of the fact that there was a boom and people were willing to part with stuff they never would have parted with otherwise, and that was our one chance to go get it, like the Jokic,
Yeah, no, I know. That's
like the McCaffrey.
Yeah, and like, don't let me feel too bad for myself here, because I'm a collector for life, and right now we're clearly in a bear market, but who knows what the market's like a year, 2 years, 5 years from now. But more importantly, if I could go back and do it over again, I can't really say what cards I wouldn't have gone and got. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Exactly that.
Yeah. It would be tough. I would say screw that legacy. Screw that.
That's the only one. That's the only one.
That damn guy in San Francisco who has just a pile of them. He's just unloading the pile, and that pile is still unloading almost 2 years later.
Oh, can you write that down? That pile is still unloading.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Where's Stiff Arm Wax, man? He's supposed to be telling me these. All right. The pile is still unloading.
No, but that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, if you look back at the last year, or if you and I both look back at the last year, our memories aren't going to be like nitpicking how much we spent here and there. It's going to be like, here was our PC at the beginning of the year, here it is at the end, and we've added like 10 or so monster grail pieces that we're really excited about, and our collection is 20% better than it was last year. That's at least how I'm just thinking about all the stuff I added.
Totally, yeah. All right.
This time last year, you didn't have Jokic's and McCaffrey's best card. Now you do. Like
those were two of the best hobby moments of my life. That I those two cards for sure. I would pull the trigger again, knowing everything that I know now about which way the market is going to go, etc. So I
would pull the trigger on my two of those as well.
Your Optic Gold and Select Gold.
Yeah.
Well, the Select Gold PSA 10 is a pop 1, so that's in a lot of ways that's kind of a 1 of 1.
that's what I'm saying. Like the stuff that we buy is like pop ones, anyways.
Yeah.
Do
What?
not be that person.
What person?
It's pop 10, or the PSA 10, therefore it's a pop 1. Like it's a 1 of 1. Like don't be that person.
What's wrong with that person?
There's a lot of things wrong with that person.
No, I don't think so.
It's a card that's serial numbered out of 10. That's enough for me.
It's serial number out of 10, but we have to respect graded scarcity on some level. There will be vintage collectors listening to this who are like, well, if graded scarcity doesn't count for anything, then what are we doing here? So like, I have a respect for grading scarcity as well, and so should you.
Would you pay more for the PSA 10 pop 1 than you would have if it was a 9?
Yeah.
So you respect it.
Yeah. And then the other one is the BGS 9.5 Optic Gold, which is just...
I forgot you guys added those two. Like, those are like your 5th, 6th best cards you guys added this year, and they're like giant bangers.
Yeah, we went a little crazy collecting in 2022. But we'll see.
The problem was, like, those cards, like, all popped up around the same time, and it was like,
Right.
pull the trigger or wait 20 years for them to come up again.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was the first time a Luka Optic Gold had been made available in 2 years. And the PSA 10 Select Gold, there's only one of those. Okay. All right. No Shimmer says, tell me if we answered this last week. No Shimmer says, when does a collector become a super collector? Did we answer this last week?
And yeah, it might have been like a slight variation.
Okay.
When?
Yeah.
Is there a metric? Is that what they're
I don't think it's a metric of like the percentage or volume of cards. I feel like it's a percentage of like your mental space, the mental dedication to it. Like, do you feel like you've added this player into your main collection? Is it like in your top 3 or 2 players you chase after? You look for all their cards, you get excited about their cards. That makes you a super collector.
Yeah. That's the key, I think, or at least that's one of the traditional definitions of a super collector is what you said there at the end. A player or a collector who seeks out literally a copy of every card made of that player. And that's a neat way to look at it. It's just not practical in the era of 50-plus Prism.
Yeah. You see that one in the comment in the chat? I don't want to mess up your name. Okie Boy Card says, when you're universally recognized to be so by your peers. I like that one too. Like, would people consider you to be a Christian McCaffrey super collector? I think so.
I hope so. God damn, what else do I got to do? What?
Well, you're not going after every single individual card.
No, I'm not.
So, but I would consider you to be a super collector.
Yeah. If I'm not, show me the one who is. And or maybe I don't know.
You know Thanos then?
Yeah. Cage says, when does a bid become a mega bid?
Yeah. It's a percent. It's like more, isn't it more than 2x? Didn't we decide it's more than 2x?
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, more than, yeah. All right. Do you care about if you're known as a super collector or not?
Well, what would you say? Would you say I'm a super collector of which players?
Penny, LeBron, and CP3?
Yeah, I care.
Okay.
Like, you got those 3 right, so I feel like I'm happy with that.
I don't know if I care to be a super collector or not. I don't know if it means much to me.
It means enough where it means something because like when someone comes across a certain card, they think of you, and it helps like increase the likelihood that you're going to make your collection better.
I want that. I definitely desire that.
There you go.
I want when people think of McCaffrey to picture this gnarled up mug. think of how to send me that email link. All right. Redman6448 says, let's hear some data and discussion on pre-war vintage compared to the rest of the card markets in 2022 and beyond. So I just pulled up something real quick so we could show some love to pre-war vintage, which is doing absurdly well. So I have two lines on this chart. This chart actually doesn't, it's hard to make sense of this chart, but the bottom one is pre-war, and you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll tell you that it's up 30% over the last year. Pre-war vintage is up 30% over the last year. And we'll think about what that means a little bit more in a second. The CL50, which is the top line, it's sloping down. The CL50 is down 18% over the last year. Pre-war vintage, to repeat myself just once, pre-war vintage is up 30% over the last year. Of Card Ladder's 25 indexes that are not player indexes, the only other ones that are even positive are hockey, which is up 6% over the last year, and the Outlier Index, which is up 16%.
So it's the number one performing index.
Yeah, pre-war vintage is not only the number one performing index, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's performed twice as well as the next closest competitor. And the next closest competitor is kind of it's not even a fair comparison because it's the Outlier Index. You know, it's cards that very rarely sell. So, yeah, pre-war vintage is just blowing everything out of the water. What do you think about that?
I think for anyone that says we don't give enough respect and love for pre-war vintage, there you go. We just pointed out you guys are killing us, destroying us. This data's there. What do you want us to do? Nick wants you to write down "gnarled up mug" as a title.
I just wrote it. I had to look up the word gnarled real quick to make sure to see what I said. Gnarled means knobbly, rough, and twisted, especially with age. The gnarled old oak tree.
I was picturing like a bunch of like wrinkles in your head, which you don't have. So, there you go.
We're working on them.
You gotta like be shocked more, like like you gotta do the YouTube thumbnail face more.
Yeah.
It's probably because I don't say enough shocking things. Fuck.
Yeah, you and Christina need to step up those shocking outbursts game.
Hey, I'm fucking.
Trevor Lawrence is gonna win the Super Bowl, and it's not even gonna be fucking close. Ah!
I called the Eagles trash. I said.
And then Lefko came in and you like tripled down.
It's like, look who's here. The fucking trash leader of the trash team.
Show a little compassion for the man. When was the last time the Eagles were... Well, I guess they had the Nick Foles Super Bowl run not that long ago.
Yeah, boo-hoo. Like, I'd never win a Super Bowl. The Eagles crying about it. They got a Super Bowl like 7 years ago or whatever. Cry me a river.
Yeah. I mean, if we're still riding high off the 85 Bears...
You and I have the number 1 pick and the number 3 pick. How do you think our teams did this year?
Damn, you guys got the number 3, man. That's rough. Oh, well.
Are you looking for a quarterback?
We're looking for a coach. We're looking for looking for everything.
Looking for everything. They are not looking for a quarterback. They signed their guy to a big old deal.
We got a GM, too. I can't say his name. It's so weird. Monty Austinfort? I don't know.
Okay.
What a name.
What a name.
I'm just wondering who's going to take the Bears' first round pick and for what.
Yeah. Ask Jordan Silverberg. He'll tell you. All right.
You mean the number 3 Bears
The number
clubhouse?
Number 3 clubhouse. All right. Junkwax Drake says, as an exquisite newbie, what exquisite sets are widely considered to be the most iconic, the most desirable, and the most elusive to exquisite collectors? And then he put in parentheses, for example, limited logos.
Right. Well, Well, most elusive is number pieces for a lot of people because they serial number those to the jersey number of the player. So, like, Chris Paul, for example, his number pieces are a bitch to find. Tracy McGrady, even worse. They're all one of ones. But yeah, limited logos is probably the most popular, and then number pieces because of, like I said, the serial number aspect.
Got it. Thank you for that. All right. BCart99 says, what are the most random places outside of social media and online marketplaces that you've used to buy cards?
I bought a card on Mercari once.
Okay.
I bought a box on Mercari once.
Did it actually show up?
Yeah.
Nice. Josh, did yours show up?
Yes, Yahoo Japan.
Yahoo Japan. Cool. Okay, that's pretty obscure.
Dude, those are good answers.
Those are good answers. Pretty sure I've used Craigslist once or twice to make a connection with a lead. This wouldn't have been
connection with a card or with a
with a lead.
person of the night.
It was what were they called? Missed interactions or whatever. That was Chris was on that part of Craigslist.
Lost connection.
Person of the night.
Yes, lost connections.
Do that.
Also known as missed interactions.
Shut up.
You getting those rings done? Okay. Yeah, Craigslist has definitely led me down some card rabbit holes, but
Haven't you just ever randomly gotten through whatever avenue a random person's phone number that you're texting back and forth, and you didn't put their name into your contacts? It's just a random phone number. You're just like texting some person you don't know and sending pictures of cards and dealing thousands of dollars back and forth.
Well, I usually at some point ask who am I talking to? That sometimes happens. Okay. All right. I was hoping maybe the chat would chime in with some of their weird ones, but they're too ashamed.
They're too shy.
Too shy. Junk Wax Pax, not to be confused with Junk Wax Drake, says, what are the pros and cons of posting high-end cards on Instagram? Pros and cons of posting high-end cards on Instagram.
Pros, it's awesome. Because everyone gets to like my photo, and I feel so special. Cons?
Everybody
none.
loves me.
Con? What's a con?
I one. People always, even if it says not for sale, not for trade, this is a PC Kaufman card, people will message me who I've never spoken to before, and they'll be like, what's the lowest you'll go on this card? Like, fuck off, person. Fuck off.
It's a good con. It's a really good con.
You go straight to what's your lowest?
Yeah, like, what, like I'm trying
What's
to,
your lowest, dude?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this question from the perspective of Junk Wax Packs is thinking about posting one of their high-end cards, but is like, do I really want to do this? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Because, when you do post high-end cards, here's some cons that could happen or some things that can maybe go bad. When you try to buy cards in the future, if people go look at your page and they see some high-end cards, they might be able to think they're going to be able to squeeze a little more money out of you. And you might lose some bargaining power.
Yes.
I think that's a possibility. Cons include just, I don't know, there is something uncomfortable about knowing that anybody in the public or anybody within your network of hobby people could go to your Instagram page or take a screenshot of it and know some percentage of your net worth, basically, on what you have. And there's a weird privacy thing. I mean, most of us aren't looking at collections and thinking about how much it's worth, but there are some people out there who are pocket watching and who are counting things like that. It does feel a little uncomfortable. That could be a level of discomfort that can come with posting a high-end card on Instagram. And also there's, I hate to point out the elephant in the room, but there's a security risk of people knowing that you own a high-end item that's small and could easily be stolen. So.
All right, hold up. Let me go delete my Instagram.
All right. And hobby Instagram ended tonight.
It's too late for us, Josh.
Yeah. And the IRS could be watching.
As if the government is that competent to be able to be on top of stuff like that.
Right.
Please.
Yeah. But then the pros, I mean, I think, look, yeah, some might say snippy nutties. But the pros outweigh the cons for at least some of us, for a lot of us, which is that, like, we give up our privacy and all the other things that relate to it. And when it comes to cards, because it's just fun life is short. The hobby is supposed to be fun. It's a lot of fun to share your pickups, give a little paragraph that talks about how and why it means so much to you that nobody ever actually reads. And get a bunch of comments flowing in the comments underneath and reply to them and like them and stuff. It's just a nice sense of community comes from posting your cards. And that applies to all cards, not just high-end cards.
It's just like part of my routine. You know, I love the routine of getting the mail day, doing the live, taking the picture, posting, replying to comments, like all of that's kind of fun.
Yeah, perimeter sums it up nicely. Hobby cloud is greater than privacy.
The pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah. Oh Lord, don't tell me that, SeaKeith. All right.
That guy, he's gone. What happened to that guy? Is he gone?
I don't know, man. I haven't been consuming much YouTube hobby content these days, so I don't know. All right, Vinny Slabarino. Do you think he said it?
I know he did. I saw it.
Oh, you already saw it. All right. Always enjoy the show. Let's say that there is an important card of a goat that's numbered to 10. Are we collecting animals now? I don't know why it occurred to me to make an animal joke on the goat at this time, at this hour. All right, one person owns all 10. This person shows a video of himself burning 9 of the 10. So, what happens to the price of the remaining card? Does it go up? Does it go down? Is it the same? Does the hobby end up revolting for such a despicable act?
So are you going to do this with your Jokic Optic Golds?
Damn, my plan has been foiled. Yes, since the one-of-ones are going to be too hard to find, I'm going to get all 10 of the golds and burn 9 of them. And then there will be 2 one-of-ones. The true gold and the stupid gold bond that nobody wants.
Wouldn't you just make a video of yourself having all 10, and then you just keep all 10? That's the same as, like, burning 9, right?
Well, if you burn 9, then people know that there can never be another that comes to market to rival theirs if they buy one of the 10.
Well, they can also know that another will never come to market because you have them all.
Right. Yep.
I'd rather just keep all 10.
Yeah, I'm not in the business of burning cards. That's for Vegas Dave.
Jordan Silverberg is trying to buy all the Maxine Green on bios and burn them.
People have threatened to do this to Christina on her hunt for her cleaver.
That card that you said was burned was slabbed and recently shown off on an influencer's account.
It was, but I noticed that PSA did not authenticate the card. They authenticated the signature, not the card.
Who signed it?
Vegas Dave.
He tried to burn a card, failed, and then signed it?
Yep.
That's one of the most unbelievable cases of narcissism I've ever heard.
Well, then he graded it.
And then we all got influenced.
And then he graded it, and then he sold it and or gave it to an influencer so that they could post about it.
Then the circle of influence goes on.
I don't know, if it's me and I'm burning literal paper, like, I'm seeing that through, and that paper will be burned all the way.
So you're saying this influencer didn't finish the job?
He failed. He had one
Correct.
job. And
No green check. Dude, I got an ESPN notification that Shannon Sharp and Ja Morant's dad were getting in a fight in the stands and had to be separated and were kicked out.
Wow.
I wonder which side Shannon Sharp was on in that fight of the Lakers versus the Ja Morant.
What the hell is going on in crypto arena? How long is it? I wrote that down, stiff thing. What the hell is going on in crypto arena? Do you have it on right now?
No, I like ESPN gave me a notification, and I pulled it down, and it was like, Shannon Sharp and John Moran's dad are separated by the officials and ejected.
Damn, Shannon Sharp, man, he's giving out them hot takes.
Dude, I have this theory. They're back. I have this theory that the whole Skip Bayless tweet about DeMar Hamlin, where Shannon Sharp didn't come into work the next day, was staged.
It was staged?
Yeah, like Shannon Sharp's like, I'm mad at you. I'm not coming to fucking work. I might quit. And then all of a sudden was back the next day, and they're back to arguing. It was like it gave them a lot of attention.
They wouldn't do something like that and dupe the masses, would they?
Are you serious? Those two? I definitely would.
I mean, those guys don't just make shit up to make money. No, they don't do that. What? They think we're just a bunch of dummies out here? Just I don't think so.
That's kind of what they do. That's kind of their thing.
Oh shit! Oh, this game is really close, man. It's Memphis up by 1 with 18 seconds. All right.
Ooh.
Let's go Lakers. I would love to see the Lakers win this game. All right. Ben Cross Country Runner 1 says, what do you think the main factors are that cause people to leave the hobby? Do you think a decline in prices necessarily indicates that people are leaving?
Oh, that's it? What are the causes?
No. Well,
a lack of liquidity?
Do you think, in particular, is prices going down? Does that necessarily mean that people are going to leave? Like, if prices go down, people are leaving. It's a guarantee.
Yeah, it is a guarantee. It's like saying when the economy goes down, like the rate of, like death goes up. It just is like, it's just going to happen. It's just a cause. You can't like fight the science of it. As the prices go down, more people are going to leave. I think that's just a fact. Yes.
Yeah. So then.
Wait, hold on. I'm hearing this the opposite way. Like people are leaving, therefore prices are going down.
Oh no, other way.
Yeah. Okay. Because that I don't agree with. Like if people leave, does not mean that prices will go down.
Right. Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair and realistic observation. Is that it's hard to imagine a scenario where, especially one like ours, where you have some people who are down a lot, at least on paper, who just say, all right, had a nice run, this sucks, I'm cutting bait, and I'm leaving. So I think that's pretty reasonable. Do you want to do anything more with that topic? People leaving, prices going down?
I don't know. Good riddance?
Yeah. I'm not sad about them leaving. I wish people would leave. I have a list of names.
That's where we're at in the hobby these days. Just I wish more of you would leave.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I'm trying to shrink the hobby.
Like, fuck you, leave.
This hobby needs a breast reduction.
That used to like be my war cry, like join the hobby, like I will do my part to welcome you and teach you and like all that stuff. And then I was like, all right, too many of you fuckers. Time to calm down and like leave.
I mean, if they were actual collectors, I wouldn't mind them being here.
That's like the unspoken truth of this.
Yeah.
That's the unspoken thing. It's like if people came in and they were wanting, they want to be collectors and like it wasn't distorting our markets, in a very silly fashion. And then, hey, this is great. But when there was this like fake market created and the purpose of being in the hobby was just to kind of make money off of the collectors like us who are buying cards, and there was no intention on really, there was no synergy with the collectors and the flippers. Flippers just came in and they made their money and they left. Yeah, I'm probably on the good riddance train as well.
Yeah.
You guys made your money off of
I mean,
us.
that's the white elephant in the room is like we all want to be like, oh no, we want everything to grow and like, yeah, it's so great growth and like we need more people, but a few of us, this show in particular, like, do we need everybody? I'd rather be a quality over quantity kind of thing here.
Yeah, agreed. Quality over quantity thing. All right.
I think people like this breast reduction comment. You knew this coming into the show now that you're like, if you drop the crazy one-liners, you get the caption title, so you've just been ready to go.
I definitely have increased my ratio of slightly inappropriate one-liners.
This show's going to turn into First Take, where we just start saying ridiculous stuff so that we can have the best captions. And we get the best thumbnails. And Nick's already like screenshotting when we do weird stuff for the thumbnails. Like we've become everybody else.
We have. We've become the problem. All right. Drake's PC says, Drake. Shout out Drake. Drake has definitely nailed the super collector. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Drake says,
Say no more.
Yeah. Drake says, in my opinion, the term GOAT when describing athletes is tossed around too frequently. In individual sports like golf and tennis, it's easier to figure out who the GOAT is. But what qualifies someone as a GOAT in team sports? And how much of team success should factor into that conversation?
I thought about this one a lot today. This is the question I thought about the most.
Good.
Which is like 30 seconds. I think it's fair to use the term GOAT as it pertains to eras. So like you're allowed to pick a GOAT of every era, and you can decide what that era is. Like you could basically say we're in this like post LeBron era, and you could like make a new GOAT right now, and you can make one for LeBron. You could say Kobe was one. That's how I feel about it. I'll let you. I have to go to the bathroom. You go.
Yeah. No, that's reasonable. Look, oh shit! The Lakers stole the ball. Oh, the Lakers might win this game. Okay, that's amazing. All right. So here's like I'm gonna get a little bit pedantic about this because this is a topic that actually has a right answer, but people by and large don't care and are uninterested in investing the time and figuring out what it is. But when we're talking about team sports, the contribution of all the players on that team are important, and it's near impossible to figure out which player is better than the other in the context of they have this team and they have this coach and they have this system and on and on and on. It's silly. It's almost a delusion that we think we're going to be able to say who the GOAT is. If I can just be really honest about that. I just think it's now this is why I love advanced statistics, because they try their very best to isolate what makes a player great and do it in a way that's objective and that can be compared to their peers, maybe even across generations. That's why I love those. I love advanced analytics because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to measure impact. They're trying to figure out how can we figure out which player has the most impact on winning. But we're so far from being able to get even close to definitively saying which player has had the greatest impact on winning, especially when you take a player and that player just so happened to land on that team with that coach and those teammates and that developmental arc, etc. Well, what if Michael Jordan went to the Seattle Supersonics? Or just pick one.
Yeah.
Pick one.
The other, you know how like Jordan's last year was 2002 and LeBron's first year was 2003?
Mm-hmm.
We're like trying to do this comparison to these two guys. They literally never even played on the same court together ever. It's like impossible, like you said. Like, there's so many factors, so many variables, but that's why I think when I hear the word GOAT now, I think of it kind of like a grail, where it's like it's really up to you. It's up to your era. You can kind of fudge it how you want. I don't get too mad about it anymore. If this guy's your favorite, you think he's a GOAT, you think Ja Morant's the GOAT right now, whatever.
Definitely.
Like, that's your favorite player.
That's where I was next, actually, is going to make the case for Morant is the GOAT.
Who won the game?
I'm a little bit behind. Morant missed the game-tying shot, but it looks like somebody from Memphis is on the line. Memphis is down 2. Brandon Clark is shooting free throws here.
He's 5 right.
Damn.
Make the first. Oh, boy, this is going to overtime, isn't it?
How many points does LeBron have?
I disagree with both of you that you
Shocker.
can't find a GOAT.
Yeah, that's fine. You can disagree, but you're wrong.
You
That's fine.
missed.
Did he?
Yes, with
Yes.
some of the chat.
Yes. LeBron had 23, 9, and 6.
Lakers win.
Oh, did he try to miss it for?
No. He was only down 1.
Yeah.
Would you like to make your case for why there can be a GOAT, Christina, in team sports?
Because if you put if Michael Jordan didn't get drafted to the fucking Celtics, okay,
Correct.
with
Correct.
Bird and a dream team.
Correct.
He got drafted to a Bulls team that was not good.
Correct.
So for you to say oh, he could have been drafted to the Supersonics, yeah, he probably would have made them better too. And
He would have made them better.
Scottie Pippen, it would have been insert second best player.
That's where I get off the train.
Okay.
That's where I get off.
Well,
Where do you get off the train?
When saying I agree that hey, Michael Jordan would have made the Supersonics a hell of a lot better too, or whatever team he went to would have made them a hell of a lot better. But where I get off the train is that if it wasn't Scottie Pippen as his second fiddle, it just would have been some other guy, and they would have still gone on to do equally as creative things.
Oh.
is it Professor Bucket's birthday?
Happy birthday, Buckets!
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Christy.
You sly dog.
There's just so many factors, dude. So many variables. That's just impossible. All we know is that Jordan and LeBron are the 2 best. Everyone else sucks.
Yeah, nobody can disagree with that. Well, except for a bunch of people on Instagram.
Except for like a bunch of people.
All right. I like your take. Just a chill approach. Hey, if people want to have their goats, have your goats.
Well, because there was like this big thing about Kobe Bryant top 5, right? Isn't that what kind of sparked some of this? Like the big cage thing about top 5, and then someone else getting mad about it, Eddie getting mad about it. So I'm like, dude, a lot of people really like Kobe, and they have him in their top 5. Okay, do it. I personally don't. That's fine. Like, it's whatever.
And Josh, what do you think about people who have Kobe in their top 5?
Well, the leap from 29th all-time in PER to 5 is really tough for me. It's a big jump.
Yeah, but dude, I've sat on my couch and watched 10,000 bazillion hours of basketball, so don't try and bring your math at me. All right? I am a ball knower.
It's the eye test, man.
I am a ball knower.
That's why I'm with you. I like looking at those advanced stats. It's the only, cause I never watched Wilt or Bill Russell or Kareem or a lot of these guys. So what else am I going to do other than say wow, that's a lot of good stats. He was probably pretty good. I look at Kareem's stats and I'm like, holy shit, 6 MVPs or 5 MVPs, 6 titles, the most points. It's like he's probably pretty good. You don't just get to that without being really, really good. So I'm going to say he was really good.
Facts. And Cage facetiously says, don't use stats to argue.
No. What? How do you do it then?
No. Something that boggles my mind is the score to a game is a stat. The object of the game is to have more of that stat than the other person has of that stat. Sports are stats.
That checks out.
Sports are stats. Just because it's a number, we don't have to just throw it out. Sports are stats. Stats are the measure of sports. Stats are amazing. Embrace stats. Embrace.
Because it's all we have. If I can't watch every minute of every game, I can't eye test everybody. All I can do is look at the stats, you know?
And if we're not, if we're not using stats, if we're not saying which team statted more than the other, which team scored more points than the other, then what are we doing? We're judging ice skating. We're saying, wow, this twirl looks better than the other one on my eye.
Dude, that's the caption. What are we doing? We're judging ice skating. I think it's what Cage is saying. Cage said, I was told I was wrong because Kobe played with a broken finger. People just love the whole Kobe mantra of, you know, the Black Mamba and all that stuff, and they just they value that a lot, and they should. You know, they have a lot of emotion towards Kobe, but the stats say he wasn't nearly as good as we might think.
I think that makes him a personal hero. Like, as a personal hero, that makes the case even stronger. That he knew he wasn't that good, but he put in that much effort. Therefore, that mentality, like, as a personal mentality, like, makes him very strong. But to say he's, like, a number 5 or above a number 5, like, it just doesn't make sense.
Also,
Personal goats.
what's wrong with being top 10? Why is it so, like, offensive to say that someone's like, I'm not offended when people say LeBron's number 2. That's pretty good. Number 2 is pretty sick. I'll take number 2.
Would you be offended if someone said LeBron's the top 10?
Yes, I've drawn the line. If you don't have in your top 5, I'm offended.
Okay, so number 6 is where you draw your line?
My line's at, like, technically it's at 3, but if you have them at 3, I'm, like, probably going to start arguing with you.
Look, now this isn't something that happens only in the hobby, because this happens in all arenas of sports discussion. You know, people strongly believe that Kobe should be top 2 or top 5 or whatever. But in the hobby, isn't it a little different? Isn't there, like, this thing in the background of the hobby that says, like, man, if Kobe isn't top 5, then, like, should I feel weird about his market relative to Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or Kareem or something?
And that's where I said no, because
Personal hero. Got it. No, I know.
Yeah, agreed. It's like his fandom and people's admiration for him are just so great that that's what makes the hobby fun. Is like you can make your own sort of rankings in the hobby different than, you know, on court statistical.
Definitely. Okay. Cardi C making a comeback in the card ladder crossover
Let's go.
question game. Cardi C says a zero feedback seller. No, okay, so he's saying suppose a zero feedback seller lists your grail at market price. Do you pull the trigger without hesitation?
Yeah, because eBay can always refund you the money. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, that can be a bit of a nuisance, but ultimately, if it's your grail, it's a real, like, grail, I'm probably taking the risk. So, all right, we probably got time for one or two more here.
I can go. Hey, I don't have a marathon this weekend, so you've probably noticed I've been back on the Truly train.
This is your marathon now. The crossover marathon train. Yeah, but
we can go late.
I am gonna keep this to maybe like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, we got an extra 15.
Yep, we're gonna give an extra 15. All right.
There we go. I gotta laugh.
Because we have a lot of questions. All right. Oh, here's a fun one.
Back on
Cardboard
the
Insight.
Oh yes, write that one down. It was 3 weeks off. I'm back.
Nice. All right. Dude, I have like 20 titles written down.
I
Dude.
think the title should just be train, because you said that's where I'm getting off your train, and then Josh says he's back on the Truly train.
That's why you don't come up with the title.
I love how half of the show now is dedicated to like fucking finding the title. Every sentence we say, we're like, "What was that? The what?"
It's gonna get overboard, and eventually we're gonna get to that point where the show is just nothing but trying to utter titles, and then we'll get bored of it and move away.
I just
All right.
get excited when I say something and Stiff says it's eligible. I'm like, yes.
Cage says Josh is sniping liquidity right now.
That, you know what? I'm all about like going with your gut, going with your first instinct. That might still be the winner.
Dude, I really like that one a lot. All right, Cardboard Insights with the question of the night. Is it possible to love this show more than Vinny Slabarino?
Was that a question for real?
That is a real question from the great Cardboard Insights.
Who is the biggest fan of this show? Vinny Slabarino.
I mean, Vinny Slabarino, and he's just being polite, he's just having the courtesy to say something pleasant before he gets into his question. Which a lot of you other question askers could take a note or two. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to Vinny Slabarino. What a legend.
What is this show without our amazing question askers, commenters in the chat, 64 people that stay up with us past midnight on the East Coast? What is this show without it?
That I've wondered that, and it's a scary thought.
Don't think about it. It's a dark place.
Can we get a Mount Rushmore of crossover fans? Well, Cards and Candy 911.
I feel like Drake is in there now.
We're not of crossover fans. This is crossover question submitters.
Yeah.
Drake. Mount Rushmore. Drake's PC, Cards and Candy 911. Vinny Slabarino is the newest face etched into this mountain, but it's being etched. Like you can't.
And we'll leave the fourth one open. Let's leave the fourth one wide open.
We'll leave the fourth one wide open.
Question mark?
Oh yeah, we got Cards and Candy. Cards and Candy 911 is one of the three, for sure. All right.
Pat Nicholson was making a case. He was trying.
Who was trying to?
Pat Nicholson for a while there.
Oh yeah, but I think the pressure got to him.
He did.
I think the pressure got to him, and he was delivering at such a high level that he just said, "I'm just going to retire on top," rather than try to keep going and maybe, lose some of the
inning are we in? What inning are we in now?
inning of what?
The liquidity of the hobby.
Well, there's no such thing as too many innings in the hobby. Marino said that.
Okay.
Marino,
we got a comment. Casual watcher here, no questions. I also, dude, the casual watcher that doesn't ask questions is like the person in the hobby that doesn't make content. They just buy cards with their money. Very important.
Very important. We appreciate all of the casual viewers, watchers, listeners. It goes without saying you guys are very important. But them question askers, they help us make content.
But seriously, ask more questions.
No, right now we're in a good sweet spot. We're like, usually I can get us to like somewhere between 60 to 90% of the questions. Like we're at a good number of questions right now.
Okay.
All right. Tiger Jordan 311 says, what percentage of your card purchases have been keepers versus cards that you eventually sold?
Ooh. Like in the last X amount of months or like a year?
Yeah, sure. Do last year, I guess.
Well, yours is like 99, so that's boring.
Yeah, it's a high percentage. For the last year, it's like I'm too lazy to sell anything. I have things that need to be sold. I'm just too lazy.
I'll say like 70%.
70. Nice. All right. South Park Cars.
Yeah. Yes.
Is it possible to
T-Law, big T-Law guy right here. This guy's a big T-Law
He was
fan.
going hard for T-Law for most of the year, and I think he got a little nervous in the first half, but T-Law pulled it out for him.
He was really excited about that. I texted him, and he was really excited to see that comeback.
I couldn't be happier for anybody about the T-Law comeback than I am for Sal. And Stiff. Stiff as well. Stiff was a big T-Law booster as well. So those two guys can take their victory lap on T-Law now. All right. Sal's question is it possible to make money in today's market for newcomers? Parentheses, those with under 5 years of experience.
Oh, it's possible. It's really, really hard. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, you need a lot of experience to kind of wade through what's happening right now. I think it's damn near impossible.
It's tough. I put this to a poll, and it was about 70% of people saying, yes, it is possible for newcomers to make money. So there's that. Okay. This was a fun one.
Well, wait, hold on. To be fair, I was one of the people who said it's possible for them to make money. And the reason I said that was because if you want to put the effort into learning, everything is available to you. So, like, anything is possible. You just have to, it's not as easy as it was 3 years ago.
Got it. Okay. JJJ Gambino says, is the fraternity of 10 or so filthy rich Instagram accounts buying up all the scarce cards, is this practice killing the hobby?
Is the hobby dead?
Is it being murdered by these filthy rich Instagram accounts who are buying up all the scarce cards?
Couldn't I argue they're keeping it alive?
Right. Well, that's what's so great about this concept of the hobby being dead. You know, it means to this question asker, the hobby is dead if scarce cards aren't allowed to fall in value more, so that collectors can buy them.
Yeah. I mean, I like the spirit of what JJ's asking, which is like, we can't rely on 10 influencers to kind of keep things going. Content creators, we need sort of like I was saying earlier, the heartbeat, the silent person who's buying cards. We need that whole swath of people to continue to move forward. So I would prefer it be a lot more than 10 people collecting and enjoying and using their disposable income to keep going. That's what we really need.
Yeah, well said. Cardboard Insights with a provocative one here. Are people who are not having fun in the hobby right now not true collectors? Can we make the generalization that people who are having fun now are collectors and the others are monetarily interested?
I don't want to sound like a bad guy here. This is the white elephant for me, this question.
Nice. Let's go.
I just feel like all the people that are bitching and moaning all the time are the ones that are losing money and they don't give a shit about cards. That's how I feel. I said it. All the people that are complaining all the time, saying this price is too low, this card sucks, this auction house is scamming me, fuck this. Like, those are all the people that are losing money, and their happiness is tied up in that instead of collecting. Christina agrees with me on this. I already know that.
Oh, yes. I would even say I complain.
She's ready to go a step further.
Yes. She's going to...
Card prices are still too high because I'm unable to afford some of the cards I'm still going after. And I look at the prices and I go, what the fuck are you smoking and where can I get a prescription?
Nice.
Chris, I want your opinion.
No, I think it's possible to be a true collector, but to be dismayed at this time. and to feel like there was, trying to collect over the last 2 years was misery with the way the prices got crazy and got out of control. And a lot of prices are still really, really high. And for me, I think it's very, and also just like a lot, just like being maybe a little too realistic here, but like a lot of true collectors also just so happen to be pretty miserable pricks.
Yeah, that's true. We're just like pessimists at heart anyways.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with anything that you or Christina said. I think what you guys said is spot on.
Yeah, ours is more of like yours is like more like realistic that collectors are miserable pricks. Ours is more of like a sentiment that we would like to portray and like, put our feeling out.
Yeah. Perimeter has an interesting observation. He says a lot of people feign positivity to do their part in keeping interest higher, which is an excellent.
Fucking facts, dude. That drives me so insane. That's like my biggest pet peeve in the hobby is like building up fake positivity around every single thing around what you're doing just so you can increase the value of your shit. Oh my god, that drives me insane.
We have a little bit of that going on in this hobby all the time.
Facts. That's the fucking caption.
All right.
Facts.
All right. Basketball card collector 93 says, how do you go about mailing in expensive cards for grading? Or do you just wait until the National? I've been waiting for this question, man. It's been a few months since we got a question about shipping expensive cards.
We used to start off the show for like a little time there. We used to start off the show FedEx, I did the whole thing. If you're worried about it, FedEx overnight. Please, just do it. I've never had an issue with FedEx overnight. Get the small box when you get there. Package it in like 2 bubble mailers. Ask for the small box. FedEx overnight. It's like $150. Worth it.
And there ain't nothing wrong with waiting until National. I did that last year, and I was happy with it.
Isn't PSA going to be at Mint Collective?
I
will be grading on site.
PSA will be grading on site at the Mint Collective, and they're offering a service I've never heard of before, which is that you can send your cards in advance and then pick them up graded at the show.
Oh, that's sick.
That is sick. I might do that.
But then you have to FedEx overnight it.
Oh? I'm going to roll the dice.
I've never had a single issue. Have you ever had an issue with FedEx overnight? Not once.
No. Nope. Never have.
It's the only one where I'm just like, that's my stamp of approval. Boom.
All right.
Make sure you have insurance.
Make sure you have insurance outside of FedEx.
Yeah, like private collectibles insurance.
Correct. Insure yourself and your collection.
Because the FedEx insurance is a joke. And if you tell them, I want insurance for $100,000, they're going to look at you and be like, what's in this fucking box?
And it's dumb expensive.
Dumb.
And it usually sometimes there's like fine print that says doesn't cover collectibles. So.
And it's like, it only goes up to $20,000. And you just told this person you have $100,000 in this box.
Yep.
It's like, God damn it.
That's a bet. That's when you got to walk out and leave that place and go somewhere else.
And never go there.
Okay. Hoops Hobby says the top 4 Eastern Conference All-Star front court vote leaders or forwards are Giannis, Durant, Tatum, and Embiid. If you had to leave one out, because you only get 3 forwards, if you had to, or you get 2 forwards and a center, but 3 front court players. If you had to leave one out, which one would it be? So, like, that's an NBA question, but then there's also a question, if you have to leave one out based on each player's best rookie card, which one would you leave out? Now, this gets really weird to me because, like, wait, their best rookie card? So, like, am I putting Giannis's NT Logo Man up against Durant's Best Exquisite RPA, up against Tatum's Prism Black, up against, like, is that what I'm doing here or what?
Isn't Embiid's card, are Embiid's cards, like, clearly, like, a step below the other 3?
Yes. Well, I think you have Giannis, is way up here value-wise relative to the others. Then you probably have Tatum, then you have Durant, and then you have Embiid.
How is Tatum above Durant? So annoying. I hate that you're right, but God, that's so annoying.
Durant is hated by a lot of people.
I know, but like Tatum's ceiling is Durant. Like, I'm sorry.
I would agree.
That'd be a terrific ceiling to hit.
Which he has not come close to hitting.
Well, let's do the All-Star vote first. Which three of those four? Giannis, Durant, Tatum, and Embiid. Only three can make your All-Star team.
I have to look at the stats for them for this season.
Obviously.
Yeah. So can you pull that up for us?
No.
Embiid. I don't like watching Embiid play. It drives me nuts. Embiid.
Okay, so
He also cries about fucking everything.
He gets
Embiid is the low-hanging.
Fucking foul call.
He literally cried last year when Jokic was having like such a phenomenal season. Everyone was like, fuck, we don't want to give it to him, but he has to be MVP. And Embiid literally said, what more do I have to do? And the answer was fucking obvious. Be the best player in the NBA.
Okay, it is late. It is late, and you are a little too fired up.
Yeah.
She's right. Right. Embiid is like, what do I have to do? You have to be better than Jokic, and you weren't. Cry about it.
Plus, he always blames his team.
Okay, fucking piling on Embiid here. Jesus Christ. You guys.
It is late. It is late.
You guys already.
You are.
I know. Thanks to you. You guys already threw him off your top three.
Well, I didn't throw him off. I said I want to look at the stats. You won't pull up the stats.
Well,
Dude, I'd rather have. Let's put Siakam above him. Fuck it.
oh my God. All right. Well, look. It'd be very easy. Look, I think Embiid is the low-hanging fruit answer here because he has the least fans in the hobby of these four and the least real-life fans too. But Embiid has been better than Giannis has this year and probably Tatum too. So,
But not Durant.
No, not Durant. It's close. It's close.
Durant's also injured. So can we throw him off the list because he's not going to play anyway?
Durant, no, he will play. He's going to come back. He got injured a week and a half ago, and he's going to be reevaluated in a month. So he'll be back
Before the All-Star?
Yeah. Well, the All-Star is like a month away from today, so yeah, he'll probably be back.
Okay.
I'm going with Embiid is starting for me for sure.
Okay, pick one.
Embiid is like the second strongest MVP candidate right now for me.
Oh, give me a break.
Oh, fuck out of
Give me
here.
another.
Jokic, then
What's he got?
Yeah, third strongest, I should say.
50 free throw attempts a game. Guy fucking gets a foul every time he touches the paint. It's so annoying.
Okay, all right. Then I have Embiid and Durant is my two locks, and the exclusion is going to be either Giannis or Tatum.
You're about to piss off the whole hobby. Look at this guy.
And the one who I'm going to exclude is Giannis. You are
Oh, you hate Giannis, bro.
Giannis. You are out, buddy. You sit down. You are on the bench.
You don't like Bull in the China shop guy?
No, dude. If Giannis was playing at the level that the other two were, it'd be easy. But he's. When I look at my 538 Raptors,
Oh,
my NBA EPMs, this guy is way down there, and it's because his efficiency is terrible. It's because the Bucks are the 24th best offense in the NBA, and that's his offense. And it's gonna have to be honest. Yeah, and I'm upset about the damn ladder that he finished.
I'm not like a big Giannis guy. I think his game is way too much power and not enough finesse for me. Like there's not enough balance there, but man, he's still really good.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. But I'm not saying he's not awesome. All I'm saying is he's having his worst season in 6 years.
Ooh.
Well, I'm not saying that. The stats are saying that.
Well, you know he's still going to start in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Is he the leading vote getter, or is it Durant?
Durant. But he's
So let me get this straight. Hold on. Let's back up here.
All right.
Hold on a second.
All right.
Slow down. Hold on.
Yes.
Durant is universally hated. Everyone hates Durant. He gets shit on in the hobby, but he's the leading vote getter?
Leading front court vote getter in the East.
How is that?
I don't know. Maybe these voters are just able to put their biases to the side. The fan vote.
Don't make me start a Kevin Durant PC. Don't do it. I will do it. Because I think
you'll probably be able to get such stuff so cheap.
I think his stuff is fucking underrated. I'm saying it right now.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think Kevin Durant is the most fucking underrated. I don't like the word underrated. I really don't. Underappreciated. I think he gets. I don't know what it is about him in the hobby or whatever. I think he's fucking amazing. He's super good.
Can I make the devastating in favor of Kevin Durant argument? Can I do it?
In favor? Dude, get on my bandwagon. Join me.
I see this bandwagon that you're pulling, and I'm hopping in the back.
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right. Here is the take. So a lot of people look at this era, the era following the LeBron peak, sort of overlapping with the end of it, and say this is Steph Curry's era. You know, he has 4 titles.
Let's go. Finals MVP.
Okay. You know where this is going.
I do.
If Steph Curry is the best player of the last 5 to 10 years or what have you, then how is it possible that this guy went to his team, became the best player on his team, and then won the finals MVP both times that they won the finals? That to me is like a really, really strong Kevin Durant argument. If you like and respect Steph Curry, you gotta like and respect Kevin Durant too.
That's an alpha beta thing. Like you'll never know. It's like we would never know who's 1 and 2 LeBron Jordan unless they're on the same team. Who's the guy that's dominating the game? Who's the one? And we know the answer. It's KD over Curry. We've seen it. It played out.
Now, the rebuttal to my point is, well, Curry voluntarily deferred. And that it doesn't make him a worse player. It just means that he said this is the only way that the system is going to work, is if I'm, the secondary option or the 1B to Durant's 1A offensively when it comes to scoring.
I feel like that's a decent argument, too, because I feel like Jokic would do something like that. If Jokic had Durant on his team, he would become the facilitator.
True. Very true.
I could see that. Like, it depends. It's like a personality thing, but I don't know, man. I watched all those series, and Durant was the alpha.
Oh, that's fair as well. And then Stiff has another counter. He says, but Curry still went on to win rings before and after Durant. Because Durant couldn't.
Yeah, but that's like changing the factors. The only way to make it consistent is if they're on the same team.
Right. Yep.
So you're pro Durant.
I'm pretty pro Durant. I'm pretty pro Curry too. I'm not.
What's the negative on Durant? Let's do the other side.
Some of his prime years were lost to injury, which is gonna impact statistically and some of the career's cumulative stuff that he could have piled up otherwise, which is unfortunate. The OKC what if is tough. Only one regular season MVP is tough.
Kobe has one.
Has one as well. I think regular season MVPs are big, but only one regular season MVP. And, but 4 scoring titles. But I don't know, man. There's like, how do you knock a guy who's pretty much a consensus top 15 player? Find the flaws in his game. Like, if the biggest flaw I can say is that he's only got 1 MVP. I think that's the biggest flaw I could give you, and that ain't really a flaw.
Did you see the Stan Van Gundy thing?
When he said spitting?
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Stan spitting.
Yeah, so Stan Van Gundy said like, why are there more injuries today? If there's like better medical staffs, more training, more focus on recovery, but there's more injuries, how is that possible? And Kevin Durant said like spitting. And Stan Van Gundy thought he was like arguing with him. He's like, no, dude, I agree with you. Like, you're right. I just always see Durant as like, he only cares about basketball. Like he just agrees with all the like hardcore takes of playing basketball. Whatever side is like on, I just go out and play. That's Kevin Durant. I like Durant. I think he's underappreciated.
He's got good opinions on other players as well. I like to listen to him kind of break down his contemporaries. HB says KD is just out here sniping liquidity. Easy money sniper of liquidity. I like that.
So he's top 15. Okay, so would you put him above Curry all time?
See, that's where I start stacking up 2 MVPs to 1, and I start looking at
Finals MVPs or
no, just regular season.
oh, just right. You like the regular season stats better.
I like the sample size is big enough to be statistically significant, and the playoffs really aren't. But but then I mean, I don't know, man. It's so comparing those two is so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which one's the GOAT?
That's why I don't make lists. I don't have a top 50 list. I leave that to Bill Simmons.
But it's a little easier to compare those two than it is, Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq or whatever,
Way more comparable. Yeah, you can make that comparison much more easier because they play in the same era and on. But it's just
Let's play on the same team.
it's tough. It's just the Kevin Durant. That's the thing, though. The fact that they were on the same team, and that's what makes it tough. That makes it really, really tricky. But you can also come back and say, hey, look, so what you told me is that Durant was better than Curry for 2 seasons. That's what you told me. Okay, fine. I can show you 80. I can come back and I can show you 6 seasons where Curry was better than Durant, even if they weren't on the same team.
Yeah. Well, to be clear, I have Curry above Durant. I'm just trying to see if I can get you to say it.
I don't make these lists. That's what you got to understand. I don't make.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I like making the list.
Yeah.
It's probably wrong, but it's fun.
No, it's fun. It's definitely fun. All right. You know what? Let's do one last question.
Ooh.
Let's just do one last question.
I can't make it.
Cage Lawyer says, is Kobe top 5? That was a question, but that's not the question we're going to go to. And Josh is giving me a little bit of time here to find a good one. There's still a lot. Here, Christina, here's one for you real quick. From AP Cards 23. Now that Christina is 1 card away from finishing her Maxi Kleba Rainbow, can you talk about the experience you had with this project, and did you enjoy it more than collecting singles? Just keep this one really short and sweet.
I will do that when I finish.
Nice.
Like Kobe said, is the job done? No. What's there to be happy about?
That's the Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
Now, but what about did you like building the rainbow more or less than like going and picking out singles? You probably like building the rainbow, don't you?
It's not done yet, so I don't enjoy it at the moment because it feels like there's this like dark cloud of incomplete work hanging over my head. So let's talk about it after I finish. I'll have more positivity towards it at that point. But this fucking neon green, lime green out of 5 is the bane of my existence at the moment. So, like, I'm pretty pissed off at the rainbow collecting thing.
Okay, got it. None of these last questions really. Let's just end on this one. None of these last questions are really like calling out to me right now. Case Hit Hunter says, will 90s designs always be desired, or will interest in them go away as the current 30 to 45-year-old age bracket gets older?
Well, what age bracket of people are the ones making the pre-war vintage go up 30%?
Touche. I'm just going to let...
I'm pretty sure that's 12 to 15-year-olds.
No, I just feel like as you go further, the stuff that's like the first or whatever, the first appreciated of something always kind of like increases over time. Even though you might think that age group is aging out, it generally becomes where that becomes more respected over time, even though it's been getting older.
Good point. Okay, let's pick a title.
All right.
I have like so many written down, but can we just agree?
Just read them.
We're gonna go
Just
with
fucking-
we're gonna go with I Snipe Liquidity.
No, read them all.
All right, but I'm gonna read them all. All right.
Fast.
I Snipe Liquidity. Too many companies is never too many. The pile is still unloading.
You said that?
I don't remember what that is in reference to, but gnarled up mug. The circle of influence goes on. They think that we're a bunch of dummies out here. White elephant in the room. That's where I get off. We're judging ice skating.
Yeah, that was good.
Back on the Truly train. That's one that's just for the real listeners.
Right.
All right. We've become the problem. The hobby needs a breast reduction. And what else? Oh, and I'm trying to shrink the hobby.
We'll read the unloading one again.
The pile is still unloading.
I just say
what that even meant, what that was in reference to.
we're pretty funny.
Especially out of context.
Right. As you read these, it's just, the Snipe Liquidity is probably going to be the winner, but I really like the pile.
The pile is unloading. No, Sniping Liquidity wins because it's a token of honor for our guest.
Yes, and it was our first instinct.
Yes, and people made callbacks to it all night, so that's usually a good sign.
Let's break it down. What the fuck does that even mean?
I was trying to avoid that part. I was hoping that we just wouldn't have to figure out what that means.
I think that's what makes a good caption is you're like, I don't even know what that means. Who said that and when and how does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's just going to be 2 words, Snipe Liquidity?
I Snipe Liquidity.
Ah. So it's like, pew pew.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the image that Stiff Arm Wax comes up with.
It's binary risk is the other one.
Binary risk, that's right.
I got you, C. Keat.
Oh man, we're never gonna top that in terms of potential captions.
I just want to, like, the secret caption is the pile keeps unloading.
Okay, so we can put I Snipe Liquidity parentheses.
No, don't do that. It'll be the secret one. It'll be like The Office with the secret assistant to the regional manager.
It'll be like if you watched the entire episode, then you know the secret title.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not really a crossover fan.
Oh,
No, we got secret caption. We got the caption and the secret caption, and we've got levels to this.
All right.
You might need to have a secret caption every week now.
That's gonna do it. I can't believe 53 people are still on this stupid strain. We'll see you guys next week.
We're reaching the top. A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.